Hi. So now we have Rajkumar, who's going to be presenting to us Dialogflow, which is a product which I spoke about a little earlier about how one of a large matrimony website is able to get users together. So over to Rajkumar.
Hi guys.
Yeah, share your screen.
Hi guys. Now I'm going to talk about this Dialogflow. So Dialogflow is a NLP tool. So it is a natural language processing tool which can be used in building the chatbots. So here you can see. So in Dialogflow, first main thing is agent. So agent is a kind of it is like a middleman. So whenever we try to suppose for example take Google Assistant. Whenever we ask something in Google Assistant, that voice query which we ask, so it's going to be taken by this Dialogflow agent, and there are something called intents. So for every user query, we can categorize into different intents. For example, suppose we want to know about the price of flight. So we can define an intent where we can ask question about different flight prices. So intent, suppose will show you how to create an intent. Suppose want to create an intent which we want to create an intent which gives answer about the flight prices. You can just create an intent here, and for a flight price we can ask in a to get information about flight price, we can ask questions in different ways. So here training phrases, we can add those different questions which user can ask to get the information about flight prices. What are the price details of price details? So we can add different kind of questions user can ask to get information about flight price. So and one more thing is we can also integrate some other backend servers to get information for this intent which user had question. So you can see here this is the fulfillment. There's something called fulfillment. So we can enable fulfillment, like enable webhook call for this intent. And to this we can add a fulfillment logic. We can call some other backend APIs. We can get information from a different server, and that we can show that response in the chatbot. So we can do it like a static. We can add the response directly here, or we want some kind of backend processing, like getting information from some other web service. We can add that in a fulfillment logic, or else if you want just some static response, we can just add those responses here. So that is about intent. There is something called knowledge bases. This is still in beta stage. So knowledge base, we can just give a list of answers for the questions user can ask. So Dialogflow automatically recognizes user questions, and it looks into the knowledge base that we provide, and it directly takes the response from the knowledge base, and it shows to the user. And Coming to fulfillment, fulfillment is uh, this is where we can uh, add our custom logic to the intents that we define. So webhook is like it is a kind of a server where we can define different intents, and for each intent we can write our own fulfillment logic. So this is the fulfillment part, and here training is for user queries. So whatever training phrases that we define in the intents. So once user starts interacting with our chatbot, so Dialogflow learns from the training, the queries the user asks, and it keeps on learning, and it keeps on improving uh, with uh, with the user questions. So that is with the training part, and entities is something uh, which is a part of the user query. Suppose when I ask some question like if I want to book ticket from Bangalore to Chennai, or if I want to extract that location from that query, uh, we can define entities. We can there are custom entities. We can define our own entities, and also there are some pre-built entities. So entities can be used to extract information from the user query. So it is with the entities part. Also small talk. This is can integrate. Yeah. So that's all with this dialogue. Thank you.
So, as Rajkumar mentioned, Dialogflow is pretty much an extensive tool where you can create bots. You can also export it out to Google Assistant. Okay, I'm going to start again because I didn't get recorded. Yeah, so Dialogflow essentially is a tool where you can create bots. You can also export out these bots to Google Assistant, and that's where it's extremely useful, right? We can have all these advanced analytics on your mobile phones, right? So machine learning on your mobile phones and advanced analytics on your mobile phones, and it could be interactive, right? So that's where we're seeing a lot of use cases come out in the market. I'm going to share my screen further. Uh, so some of what we are seeing other use cases by automobile manufacturers. A lot of automobile manufacturers are coming out with fantastic use cases, which we believe is changing the whole ecosystem in terms of adoption and innovation. Right. So a large automobile manufacturer is is basically using machine learning and artificial intelligence, which with a tool called AutoML. So with Google Cloud, there's a tool called AutoML, which essentially you just load in a few images and train the model with those 5 or 10 images or 20 images, and you tell the machine to identify those images on a shop floor. For example, if you point out which are faulty parts, or which are actually good quality parts, all of that can be identified through AutoML and can be shown and trained to the model. And then when a conveyor belt is actually on, you will basically the conveyor belt is moving, the machine can automatically identify which parts are faulty, which parts are not, right? So we are understanding supply chain defects, we are supply chain distribution errors through these kind of tool sets. We are seeing in some cases electric vehicle battery life forecasting, where machine learning is more useful than a traditional physics-based model. So in this case, one such large car manufacturer, OEM, is using machine learning to identify what is the pattern in terms of how an OEM responds to electric vehicle uh, charge going up and down. So the traditional model would be ampere in terms of battery ampere percentage into the amount of kilometers and average battery consumption. That would be all multiplied in a physics model to give you an accurate forecast. In this case, we are reaching up to 98% accuracy for a machine learning based model where we're also looking at driver patterns. We are also looking at air conditioning. We are also looking at the outside temperature. We are also looking at the terrain, map data, and by that, we are trying to deliver a customer experience where he's confident that his app or his electric car is going to his or her electric car is going to give the right amount of forecast for how much battery percentage is left for your vehicle, right? So now moving it back to Rajkumar, he'll be showcasing something which we are doing on Dialogflow and Google Actions, which is a very interesting tool. We can show it on the phone as well. So basically, what we're doing here is we're building a kind of conversational interface where site managers of a large engineering company, they are able to ask on Google Assistant, what is the status of the project, and based on this, we can we can show them insights extremely quickly, right? So over to Rajkumar again, who will be showcasing to you how this is happening and how we build this particular tool. Uh, yes, yes.
Uh, Hi guys, now I'm going to give a demo of this Google Action. So I'm running it in a simulator. So here we can ask questions like project status.
And you're getting a response of the project status. So this response is ideally something which is only accessible to that particular site manager. If he has access to his projects, only that response will be given to him by Google Assistant. So we have a governance layer which is also built in. Yeah, we can shoot this up here.
And also some other questions you can ask, like what are the concerns that were there in the site.
So if you see what return value is giving, it is not, you can ask any type of query type, right? So you can ask it concerns of my engineer and you can just ask it over the phone, right? And automatically it's giving you a response from an analytics server, which could be probably an SAP or any transactional system. So that's where, I mean, the power of, Google Actions and Dialogflow is actually coming in. And yeah, that's where we see a lot more new use cases coming onto the table. So some of these use cases you can just build for your sales team. For example, you can tell them how many they are on the field. You can tell them some new pitch for them to close, and you can automatically create all these new pitches which is custom for each and every salesperson. You can increase or decrease the pricing dynamically by what the machine is seeing as, I would say, a lot of demand coming in. So you want to increase the price because that particular product is selling like hotcakes. So all of that you can communicate to your salespeople almost near real time, and salesperson can ask questions to a bot, these conversational bots or agents, and that's one area of interest which all companies are seeing ahead, right? Now, in data science and machine learning, how do we get better insights? What are we seeing as platforms which are being made available? So, in Google's case, they're far ahead of the game, right? So, Google's at TensorFlow, a version which is Google developed TensorFlow. So, in terms of their library support for TensorFlow, they have far more advanced libraries capabilities. So, you can build your models on top of that. So, they have released a platform which I want to showcase to you all, where you can do all the steps, which is ingesting, preparing, pre-processing, discovering, training, test, analyze, and deploy. All of this can be done natively in a IDE kind of tool, like a development tool, which they believe is going to be revolutionary. So it's AI Hub is the tool. You can build all your data pipelines in Kubeflow, where the underlying layer is Kubernetes, which is a managed service where all the data can come together, and they're building the entire data platform, and then you can build all your models on top of this, right? So Google has actually brought in a new set of innovation onto the table. So the whole process where you're creating all these models, you're writing notebooks, all of that, now you can do it off the shelf with AutoML. So Google has introduced a product called AutoML Tables, which can actually automate all of that stuff. So if you have a worry that, hey, I don't have data scientists or data scientists are too expensive, you can prepare your models, which may not have high amount of accuracy, but at least you can do all these machine learning models just off the shelf with AutoML. So I would encourage you all to go to googlecloud.com and go and check out AutoML Tables, which is a new product which they've introduced for people like you and me who are not technical to go and do advanced analytics on top of your data. So it could be data which could be forecast data. Maybe you have sales data over the last 6 months, or with multiple data points. You're an e-commerce seller. You want to forecast for the next 3 months. All the data you can just load into this particular AutoML tables, and it'll tell you a predictive, or it could be with 60% accuracy. It'll tell you, hey, in the next 3 months, this is the amount of sales you're doing. At least it's a better idea than nothing, right? So I would recommend looking at all of this very objectively and seeing what kind of results you all can get through it. So BigQuery is an analytics tool. It's a data warehouse. So whatever data you're collecting from CRMs or multiple systems would be housed into BigQuery. And BigQuery, you can run ML by just firing up a couple of queries, right? So it's pretty interesting what Google is doing, what they're getting onto the table. BigQuery ML, the standard queries which can just fire up. K-means clustering is an algorithm where you can do kind of like nearest neighbor. So for segmentation, customer segmentation will be fantastic. So things like you can identify certain segments just off the shelf by firing a query off the shelf. And BigQuery automatically will tell you what are the customers grouped together, right? So very interesting things they're bringing onto the table. What we are seeing as use cases in the market from customers is, as I mentioned, propensity to buy, fraudulent claims. You can check each and every claim. Demand forecasting, what is the future of my demand, which I'm seeing in the market. Demand sensing is a very important topic in supply chain, which machine learning is playing a very advanced role in. It is redefining the rule-based ecosystem of products. Customer segmentation, you can identify different segments of your customers more accurately and without any bias. It's brilliant. Lifetime value prediction. So what is the score I can attach to a customer based on how he's behaved with my website or my internet portal or with products? All of that you can define better with machine learning and artificial intelligence. Price and revenue optimizations. For example, Arvind is selling jeans. Arvind Mills is selling jeans. Say Levi's jeans at a certain price, but Levi's is high in demand. They can restock. They can reprice the inventory already there. What is the pricing should they give in the market? What is the pricing which CRM is seeing sell faster? All of that can be done by the machines now. Instead of looking at people and based on what their people thoughts are, and building all the processes in place. At least the recommendation can be done off the shelf, right? Document understanding. So there's an AI layer right now. You must have heard of Google Lens. So you just click pictures of documents. The same technology they brought onto cloud, where you just load documents and automatically you can get an understanding of each and every text that lies on the document or context that lies on the document. It has built-in AI in it. It's pretty cool stuff. Claims prediction and risk assessment. Insurance companies will need it a lot. What is the predictions of future claims based on past data trends we've seen? Trend spotting is another use case which we have seen a lot in the market. E-commerce companies, recommendation AI, just plug it into your e-commerce engine, maybe into your Shopify or your Magento kind of ecosystem, and it will automatically recommend the best product type and for your customer, or different types of products which the customer will buy based on data which it's seen, and it's already a trained model, so you can almost off the shelf deliver it very fast. I also wanted to show you document understanding AI. So this is what I was talking about. Google Lens just take pictures of your documents and automatically get the meta text out of the document and able to process it. The speech to text, where your voice files can be translated. We are seeing up to 70% accuracy in some of English translations, which is far ahead of the competition. And then you can get to understand the voice of the customer, which is incredible. A solution which we are seeing a lot of scope in contact center AI, where the AI can actually handle the calls like a customer. You all must have seen Google Duplex. So the same technology is coming into contact center AI, where the customer can handle the calls almost automatedly, and can answer all the different queries, can understand the intent why the customer is coming in, and if at all it's not able to answer, pass it to a human agent. Something that we're doing with some websites or portals, right? So a lot of use cases we are seeing in the market which are incredible. Some of the case studies which I would like to talk about, AB InBev. Today's Friday. I hope many of you all are going to drink beer. So we basically work with ABInBev, which is one of the largest breweries. They make brands like Budweiser or Stella Artois, and they are able to predict 60% of the time which filters, or over 60% of the time, over 90% of the time, which filters are to be changed in the brewing manufacturing process. So there are 87 steps towards brewing, and AB InBev very accurately, I believe it's about 90%. Earlier with Brewmasters, it was about 60%. So now they're able to increase it to over 30%, where they're able to predict which batch will not be spoiled because of the K filters in the brewing process, going through a round of maintenance, right, or overall. So that's very good, because that batch of beer will be saved, and downstream the production can be, or distribution can be much more, um, I would say, predictive. And that's a layer which they're working with us on. They have received a Gartner Award for this, for being one of the best supply chain innovators in this space. It was millions and millions of dollars of savings for little money, which they use towards this particular use case. And now they are also predicting, raw material feed towards this particular manufacturing process, which they have. It's a process industry, right? So that's what AB InBev talks about. I'm just going to play a video of Adam, who is the supply chain head at AB InBev, or sorry, the innovation head.
ABInBev is one of the largest brewing companies in the entire world. The key brands that we produce are Budweiser, Bud Light, and Stella Artois. Brewing is such an old industry, and we've used a lot of the same technologies for the last 100 years. And so we've started to use technology to digitally transform our operations.
Our innovation team at ABInBev teamed up with Google and Pluto7 to find a way to extend the life of each K-filter run, which is a process where the beer has certain particles that have come from fermentation. And you have these filters that are set up in which the beer turbidity level, which is how clear the beer is, has to get below a certain threshold. So what you have is a multivariable problem where you reach a certain threshold, the machine has to be shut down. It's a balancing act because you have to keep that turbidity level below the required amount for that brand.
The K-filter process is a very manual process traditionally. What we've done is take a lot of the human error out of it and automate and really accelerate the decision making.
The solution was to take this Google machine learning engine, put in billions of simulations, look for trends within that data for this can prolong the life here or there. Not only does it allow you longer average runs, but there's energy savings. And finally, there's the beer itself, which more uptime means you can produce more, as well as not having to throw out wasted brands.
The value of working in the partnership with Pluto7 is that they're scalable because they're on the Google Cloud platform. So the learnings we get from Newark, we can scale across breweries across 126 countries. And artificial intelligence, Pluto7 and Google Cloud platform is a part of this broader vision to transform how we make beer, to deliver it faster, more consistently, higher quality to our valued customer.
Every opportunity we have to be at the forefront puts us in a position to compete better, but also prove that technology like this can be successful in an industrial environment.
So as you see, AB InBev has been pretty successful in, turning data into insights, right? So they are a classic example where they believed in a certain use case and they were able to take this use case and actionable data and derive insights out of it, and improve the manufacturing process. Similarly, there's another use case which we believe was revolutionary. It's with California Design Den. It's Amazon's one of the top supplier for bed sheets or home category segment. And in California Design Den, they have two factories, and they're able to forecast very accurately for the future what is the amount of inventory they need to keep in these multiple warehouses. So millions and millions of dollars of orders from Amazon across different channels, and they are an omni-channel supplier, online and offline. So they're able to forecast very accurately using machine learning. We have Deepak, who talks about how he's used Google Cloud and Pluto7's help.
In 2006, we started this company, NMK Textile Mills. We have designed and manufactured luxury sheets and bedding for retailers around the world. In 2014, we saw the landscape changing. Retail models were changing, customer demand was changing. They wanted high fashion, but they wanted it quicker. And that's when we came up with California Design Den. We were now directly talking to the consumers. So the speed had to change. When a sheet set is sold in Hawaii at, let's say, 3 a.m. in the morning or 6 p.m. in Paris, we want that demand to show right away throughout a supply chain. And we don't have resources to hire an army of data scientists. We needed a solution that was flexible, easy, but technologically far superior than anything in the market. With Google Cloud, planning in a box, we were able to respond quickly to when the demand was high, shut down a production when the demand was slowing or was tanking, which was kind of amazing because that saved us a ton of money. Our inventory carrying cost was cut into half. That actually meant with our working capital, we could double the number of styles and products. That was good for our business, that was good for our consumers. If we respond more rapidly, even anticipate the needs, and that's success for us.
So that's pretty incredible, right? I mean, if you see a person is able to generate insights and plan out his future supply chain need with machine learning, right? So that's the kind of case studies which we are looking for in the market as well. And we're pretty excited to have some of these case studies come our way in any way possible, right? So let me just, I'm just going to present to you. So Google's AI platform, they have multiple AI tools which you can use just off the shelf APIs, which we believe is revolutionary in terms of far ahead of any other competition, because Google is known for the AI and ML platform. We worked along with Google to help a car supplier take identify damaged parts, which is exterior damaged parts, by just taking images of the car. So if you just take a photograph of the car, we can identify what is the percentage of damage and how much damage, with what confidence level we can tell you the damage. So they can actually check it out, or insurance teams can actually evaluate whether the surveyor is doing the right kind of job, right? So this is the kind of use case which we have seen in this particular video. We identified for a Chinese supplier what are the termites in bees, because termites as a in the beekeeping industry, termites is a big epidemic which which is facing like most amount of beekeepers. $1 billion of industry, and we be able to identify termites within the bees. So these kind of use cases also are coming our way. In this case, what we've done is we're identifying the region of interest of that's the bee, and building convolutional neural network, which basically means we're identifying the termite on the bee, and then we can fumigate that area and save the entire hive from getting infested or dying completely. So it's pretty interesting what we can do. This is the entire process of machine learning and AI. So you define the use case, you explore the data, you see whether you have accurate amount of data. Data pipelines, create those pipelines, select which algorithm is correct for you, which comes much later. This process you'll spend the most amount of time, and then you create the model, iterate the model, presents results. plan for deployment of the model, operationalize, and then integrate with their business, right? So there's a bit of engineering, data science involved in it. And not bit, probably most of it is that, but it's fast paced, right? It's not like a SDLC approach, software development lifecycle. This lifecycle is much more faster, quick turnaround times, quicker ROI. So I would consider, anyone who's a business who has data, you all should explore machine learning use cases within your organization. This is what we've seen as a common architecture in terms of most companies where machine learning can be used to, to basically derive insights. So if you have raw data coming in, there's a lot of steady data flow. Work on this level, install an architecture where you can have, either automated components like AutoML or Cloud ML, where you use consultants like our help to identify the right kind of patterns in your data or explore your data further. This is all the tools in Google ecosystem which can help you transform your data into actual insights or actions. And each and every tool serves a particular service, which is extremely helpful for you to digitally transform. And that's where we believe players like us have a lot of scope in improving your business transformation. So that's pretty much it from my side. I have a couple of demos which I would like to take with you in person, or if you can just send me out a note at nikhil@pluto7.com. Then that's something which we can set up a demo and we can showcase to you how these models are built, and how we can improve either campaign performance, achieve customer segmentation in about a month, how we can identify smart analytics, uh, and how we can build kind of like churn models where we'll identify which customers are churning for you or which contracts are not. If you're a subscription business, which contracts are not going to continue further, a very important number which a CEO looks for. That's where we'll be able to help you out. So reach out to us. We are Pluto7.com, Pluto7 number 7.com. And the link will be in the description and my email ID as well, and we can definitely set up a session together. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Bye. Stop broadcasting.